here we go. This is it. This is the beginning of the end. No, welcome to Wednesdays with Jamie. I don't know what I'm going to call this. Raw Wednesdays, like a double-edged meaning, like, because raw the picture and raw because I'm making this up as I go along. Maybe that'll work. Raw Wednesdays, maybe that's what I will call it. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So welcome to the first instalment of Raw Wednesday, where we look at the pictures or the images I took from the previous outing that involved this week's challenge, which is minimalism. Now, these are the pictures I've got. This is the first picture I took before I started the challenge. So this was just an image I wanted because it was just a super beautiful sunrise. And you can already see from the raw, there's some nice colours there. You can see the mountains, silhouette of the mountains, silhouette of the trees. Just about pick out this wall here. But as you'll see, we can do so much with a raw. Look how much you can bring it up. 4 stops both way. So yeah, there's a lot of room there. So that's that first image. This, I took a couple, the same composition, just almost like bracketing it. So that was overexposed, then underexposed, just in case. I feel like with that first one there's more. If you look at the histogram, you can see it's all in there. And you can check that by lifting and raising the exposure to see if anything comes in or out. No, it's all in there. So we should be able to, with one raw picture, do something with that. Right, so this was now the beginning of the challenge for minimalism. And I zoomed right in and I took a picture. The idea was, with the minimalism, the shadow of these trees here, it was almost a layering. Layers and colours was what I was going for here. So we've got the tree line here, and then this kind of line here, where I guess it's a far hill range maybe. And then we have the mountain ranges. Come along here, few clouds, and then some beautiful colours. But obviously this one is way out of focus. Also, we're seeing a dirt spot there, but that is easy enough to sort out with Capture One. By the way, I use Capture One. I have a Lightroom, but I prefer Capture One. The reason is, when I got my Sony A6000, it came with a copy of Capture One. Like the Essentials one, which gives you a lot of stuff to use for free basically. So I was using that for a good time, and then I ended up upgrading and buying the full Sony Capture One. So I can only use Sony RAW files at the moment. I've not needed to have access to other RAW files, but maybe in the future things will change. But there we go. So that one's out of focus. And this one is even more out of focus. What was I doing? Oh no, these weren't the minimalism ones actually. God blimey. So this was before the minimalism shot, I believe. This was just me zooming in and taking another shot, and I just didn't focus. I wasn't really paying attention. So the problem with the back of them Sony screens, are not too sharp. So you have to punch in to focus and to really make sure that they are pinpoint sharp. Now this would be the first image. So minimalism. Again, the tree line, the mountain range, a cloud, and then the colour. But to be honest, I'm not a fan of this. Sharp though. Look how sharp them trees are. I didn't work that these actually work better, I feel, for minimalism with the different layers. But then I changed composition, I swung it round, zoomed in. Oh no, this is the same focal length, 300mm. If you not use Capture One, you'll find the settings that I use down here. ISO 50, 1/13 per second, f9, 315mm. And yeah, quite like that. That is fairly sharp. I just need to clean this up. So I've set it for O on here to clean the spots. Boom, done. Now this is where, let's clean that up. And then I click H for hand, which is, you know, you can pan around, and it's kind of default setting for me on Capture One. So this is where I purposely blurred it. So what are we thinking? Shift, I can compare these. Control B, Control T, get rid of the sides. Or even F. So we can compare these two next to each other. I do like the one on the left that's sharp. I think the one on the right is a bit of a grower. I'm not going to discount it. So let's anyway have a go at editing this first picture here. First things first, let's get rid of that spot. Boom. Right. Now this is how I like to do shots where you have extreme dynamic range, and also between the top half and the bottom half of the picture, you really want to edit them differently. The top half of the picture here is very soft, it's cloud, it's subtle, there's not a great amount of contrast there really. And then the bottom half of the picture is all details. We got the trees, we got this wall coming along. So I like to edit them differently, plus we need to bring the exposure up at the bottom, lower it slightly and rein in some of that highlights at the top, and also accentuate the colours, not going crazy, just a little bit in the sky. So what I like to do is we create a new layer. I will call this Sky L, which will give us a gradient, and then a drag M, and just drag that gradient so it's just kind of about there, and then H, turn that gradient off, and M. And now I'm going to create another gradient, call that Land. That's kind of my go-to naming regime. And I will now, what handy thing with Capture One, you can copy masks. So I'm going to copy it from the sky. If we click M, we can see that now we've copied that mask from the sky layer. See, they're both the same. But we can also invert it. So if I press I, now that mask is inverted. So I have a mask at the bottom half there and one at the top. So let's start with the bottom. So what I will do is I'm going to bring up the exposure a little bit. See, this is all, there's no real science, this is tweaking and experimenting and just slowly refining until we get to a happy medium with these things. So I'll bring the exposure up half a stop, and I'm going to bring the highlights. So we look at the mask. It's coming over into the sky, even though it's very faintly doing that. I still like to just bring a bit of highlight reduction in, but importantly we're looking at the shadows. Now I don't want to go crazy, I'm going to go with 50 for now, and I'm going to leave it like that. Let's hit to the sky. Now I want to bring this down a touch. I want to, what happens if, see, if we bring the highlights right now, it looks wrong, it's too dark. So I don't think I want to do anything with that actually. It looks like it's clipping, but actually looking at the histogram, see where my mouse is, and then we see there's a line. If we look at the histogram, you see this line moving up and down. This is telling me what or where my cursor is in the picture, where on the histogram it is, and it's all in there. There's no data that's been lost. It's all there. It's just very subtle and just very bright. So I'm not gonna, maybe I will actually just, I think I'll do it this way. I'm gonna put that 20, and then I'm gonna do that to balance it out. Shadows now. It's the opposite to the other mask. This time the sky mask is coming down onto the land. So you see how it's affecting this area here. Do I want to do much with that? Now bringing it up makes it look like there's a mist. And it's, do I want to enhance that or not? No, I'm quite happy with that. Yeah. Now, let's kind of balance this whole exposure. See, I'm thinking about where I want to finish this bottom area. How bright do I want it? What exposure? Because now the time I took this picture was before sunrise, so there wouldn't have, other than just the ambient light, there wasn't any direct sunlight on the foreground here. So, and my preference is with landscape pictures to have it subtle, really, as in I don't like garish, vibrant tones or contrast. I like it a nice kind of smooth gradation over the whole picture. Nothing really like extreme. Say, for example, it's a real extreme, but hang on, let's like that, you know. We're going to real extremes, but you know, I don't want that. I kind of want the opposite. So, if anything, I actually bring the contrast down. Thinking the white balance isn't right. That's probably the first thing I should have done. Now, you see how to me these rocks are very like purpley blue, and we want to choose somewhere that's kind of middle grey tone, like that. I mean, it changes the whole look of the image. That's probably the best white balance. But what was it shot at? I think I want it somewhere in the middle. What was it again? So it's got a very purpley hue to it. Let's try and just make it look a bit more natural. We're going to go there. Feel quite happy with that. So sharp. Look at this, 42 megapixels. So sharp, f9, which I feel is a sweet spot for this lens, the Sigma 24 to 105. Yeah. Okay. Now, I don't want to do too much. I'm going to crop it. I do like a 5x7. See what that looks like. It's kind of the focal point. Now there's no rush with this. Like I said, it's not going to be action packed. This is me literally live time playing around. I kind of like it like that. I'll tell you my thinking behind this crop. Now over here we've got a bit of grass coming up, which I think just makes it look a bit messy, and plus there's a bit too much kind of foreground with this grass, which doesn't really add anything. So there we go. So that's why I decided on that crop, I think. Zoomed in a little bit, cut out a bit of this grass that was here that didn't really add anything. Let's get rid of that. Let's just these kind of specular highlights as well. A bit annoying, so I'm going to get rid of them. Quite happy with that. I then like to mark different stages, so I've just put 1 star there to say I've kind of edited it to a degree, but it's not fully finished. These are the kind of things I would normally come back to a bit later and just kind of having fresh eyes on after I've edited it. Yeah. Oh, what I might do is just to add a bit of saturation into the sky. Just a bit. And then in the land, what I like to do, a bit of clarity and structure, which adds a bit of contrast and sharpening. So we can turn all these off, and that is what we've added to the bottom half of the picture, and the top's not quite subtle, but that's what we've added there. Okay. We've got a new dehaze button on this, which in certain circumstances could be useful. I've not used it too much. I kind of just play around with it. It's adding clarity and contrast to different degrees, or like it's really adding it there and then it's removing it there. It almost looks like a winter's day there. Kind of suck the colour out of these rocks in the wall. And there it's like deepening the colour, adding the... Okay. Wondering about actually removing a little bit of saturation from the... Just a touch. Okay. Kind of happy with that for now. Now let's edit this one. Which was an accidental mistake, but leans into the minimalism vibe. Now, I don't feel a need to create two different layers, one for bottom, one for the top. Because other than this dark bit here, it's we can kind of do universal changes to this. So I sometimes like to just click the auto just to see where it thinks it should be. Just out of interest more than anything. Now we can add contrast or take it away, or leave it as it is. Obviously, a big player in this, what we can do with this one is the saturation, which again I'm going to leave for now. Do I want to bring anything into the trees? No. Anything like, yeah, I might. No, let's leave that. And highlight. Actually, I think I want to actually add a bit of contrast in by pushing the highlights up a bit. 33. And then I can stretch it out. No. Clarity? No. Now, what I might do, because instead of just adding saturation, I always forget about white balance until later in the day. Because we can add I like where it's at. I like where it's at with that. See, one option we can do instead of just adding universal saturation, which is going to bring all the colours up, although it's mainly orange. What we can do, we can go into here and go to the colour editor, and we can take certain hues or certain colours and actually remove them or add them. Or just adjust the hue. So I'm going to add a touch of orange. I can actually change the hue, which I don't want to do. Do we want yellow? I'm going to boost the yellow as well, just a little bit. Good. So that's some brightness, just to add some contrast into the sky. Okay, one. Don't think there's much more to do with this one. See, I prefer that one where it's sharper than that one that's a bit too out of focus. I'm not keen on this one at all. I wonder if the white balance needs sorting. No, not a fan of that. Then that's the sharp one, and then the blurry one. I do prefer the sharp one, I think. Oh, this is what I'm like. I'm going to keep jumping backwards and forwards because I either remember to do things or. Now what? How do we want this? I think that works better immediately. It feels more balanced now. Although this kind of contrasting angles, we've got a zigzag going on here. Kind of got a zigzag like this. Maybe that works better. I'll just pull it a little bit tighter so that third is right in that hole. How does that feel? That feels a lot more balanced. Okay. And then this one. I don't really feel like there's much to do. We're now really creating a bit of art. Could go black and white with it. Contrast. Or no contrast. Kind of like the fact that it's very well balanced. Nothing's clipping. The colours are all kind of in the middle, and the tones, and the exposure. It's all kind of sitting in the middle, sitting pretty. You know what, I might just leave it as it is. Let's see what the white balance does. Just hitting random buttons, by the way. I think maybe all we should do is crop it one by one. How does that look? I'm trying to avoid these clouds here. I feel they kind of get in the way of it. What about there? We've got this nice sweeping roll one way and then sweeps out the other. You know what? I like that. Just a crop. That's all it needed. Didn't touch anything else. less is more. Less is more. And I'm now going to copy that over to this one. Does it work the same? Oh, I didn't copy the crop. How annoying. See, these are two. That is fine. I like how that's edited. Just needed to crop this one. No. Let's reset that one. Oh, put a star there. First things first, let's get rid of that. Now, I better have been recording all this. I think so. I think so. What do we do? Now, I'm sure this is what landscape photography would be like if you've got like cataracts. Now, will this benefit from contrast? I feel like it might. Okay. 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 Now, I've put the saturation right up because then I'm gonna. It exaggerates the colours, and then when we put it back down, it helps us figure out where we want it. It's like a, yeah, kind of like that tone. Got like a purple in it. Let's reduce that a bit. I feel it's benefiting from colour. I like how this is kind of a burnt reddy orange and the contrast. Oh, see, this one thing I keep forgetting. Lens profiles. We got the 24 to 105. I was just thinking that we had a bit of vignetting. Yeah, wants to be about 50. See the same here. It was the oh no, hang on, it was the 100 to 400, which they don't have. So we're going with that. I think that's affecting that picture because it's so cropped in. Sigma. What did I go for? That one. Looks like it needs to go 100 there. I can actually make it blurrier by adding or removing clarity. But the crop. Classic 5x7. I'm actually going to go. No, I'm thinking of 4x5. That's what I want. What have we created there? What do you see in this image? What's this telling you about your life? Well, I think that does us for our first Raw Wednesday. Four images we got from this morning. A classic landscape, a semi-minimalist, accidental, blurry landscape shot. You can tell what that is. It's all about the colours and layering in that, and the blurriness or lack of sharpness adds to the minimalism. Then we zoomed in, and we're using the colours and layers again, but then also these two shapes contrasting, similar but contrasting with each other. And then finally, super blurry, we changed the white balance, we did a few things, and we've ended up with something that no one knows what it is. If you showed that to someone, would they know that that was a mountain range picture at sunrise in Ireland? No. But does that matter? No, because it's art, and it's very subjective. So there we go. That concludes our first Raw Wednesday. Minimalism was the theme, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday, where we will have our next challenge. Have a good evening. Ciao for now. Boom.